So Apple yesterday had their WWDC, or Worldwide Developers Conference, yesterday, or I guess 2 days ago, now the day that I'm recording this, Monday, June 3rd, 2019, and one of the biggest announcements that they made during there was an $11,000 Mac Pro, $6,000 for the computer itself, and $5,000 for the display, what they call the Pro Display XDR. And I've got my laptop here for notes, my MacBook Pro, and I want to explain to you guys why I do believe an $11,000 Mac Pro makes sense. So here we go. First thing that I want to point out to you guys is that this computer is really only for pros. It's not for consumers. It's not for your average consumer who's just looking for like a daily driver, just a daily computer to go with. This is for the professionals. Everything that Apple explained in this video is mainly for, the professionals and the developers and the game designers, the video editors, and the video producers, the music creators. I mean, the two demonstrations that they showed on stage was the music tracks for Logic Pro 10 or Logic Pro X, whatever you want to call it, and Final Cut, being able to render or play 8K, 3 streams of 8K footage. I'll get to that in a little bit. But 1,000 tracks on Logic Pro and 3 streams of 8K in one screen. This is above any computer that I have ever seen before, and Apple is doing a fantastic job with that, catering to the pros. So that's why I feel like making this computer as pricey as is does make a lot of sense. This Mac Pro will support this thing called a new Intel Xeon processor. Or I guess it wouldn't support it, but it will hold this thing. And it creates 28 cores for the CPU, which, compare that to 3 years ago, I believe, or 2 years ago, I don't remember exactly, when they revealed the iMac Pro. The space gray iMac Pro looks beautiful, and I believe that was $5,000, and it had 18 cores. Absolutely insane at the time. I was like, okay, 18 cores, this is pushing it. And then the Mac Pro is just like, oh, hey, we're doing 28 cores. That's insane. I mean, average consumers like me, we probably only need like 8 or 12 cores maximum, like max. Forget 18 or 28. These are for legit pros that need to, create these types of entertainment for us, whether it's creating, amazing, stunning documentaries or feature films, or just beautifully enhanced AAA games with amazing and stunning real life-like environments. So that's really what the Mac Pro is catered for. That's why they reviewed it at the Worldwide Developers Conference, where the majority of the audience were developers. So it is a graphics powerhouse. Like it says on the website, it's meant for pros and creators who need to animate 3D film assets, composite 8K scenes, and build lifelike gaming environments. And just for this purpose, they created this thing called the MPX module, or the Mac Pro expansion module. You can take 2 of these modules and you can put them in a Mac Pro for 128 gigabytes of bandwidth memory. You can upgrade a lot of this storage, without having to buy a completely new Mac Pro. You can take some parts out and put some new parts in as time goes on, so you could still have the same body and the same pieces. Just replace some of the parts in order to make it even more powerful than it already is today. Moving on to Final Cut Pro X, this combination creates 3 times faster render speed when it comes to Final Cut Pro 10. And that's absolutely nuts. And they introduced this thing specifically for video editors called an Apple Afterburner, which is a little piece of technology that they stuck right inside the Mac Pro, specifically for video editors, where you can basically run 3 streams of 8K ProRes raw footage straight from your computer from the one screen, without any slowdown, any hesitation, any loss of pixels or resolution at all. And then 12 streams of 4K ProRes raw footage, and 16 streams of just standard 4K ProRes 422 footage. That just seems unreal. But they demonstrated this 3 streams of 8K footage on stage, and I was just blown away. As a video editor, I was just blown away. And You know, it's really insane. I do believe it's probably an extra like accessory. I don't think it's gonna come in the main box, but I'm not really sure about that exactly. It is coming this fall, so what confused me at first was that there would be 4 storage options, you know, solid state drives, you know, where the actual storage, where your files go and how much space it takes up on your computer. 4 storage options, 256 gigabytes the lowest, 1 terabyte, 2 terabytes, and 4 terabytes. Now for people who just want to max out everything, 4 terabytes is the way to go. It'll probably cost you about $15,000 in the end, but you know, we'll see what happens. But 256 gigabytes, I was scratching my head last night when I was watching it. I was like, huh? Who is gonna buy a 256 Mac Pro when this is specifically designed for professionals who need to put a lot of music, a lot of game 3D animated assets, a lot of film 3D animated assets, and just a lot of film in general, or videos, you know, whatever you're recording. That's what was confusing me. But, you know, I was thinking about it more, trying to think of an explanation for why they would come up with a 256 gigabyte base model instead of like, I don't know, a 512. But the reason they did that, I'm guessing, is because there's probably people out there who specifically and mainly use external hard drives, flash drives, thumb drives, just external drives to keep all of their work stored, so it has absolutely no chance of getting lost or deleted or anything. It's just in a safe place. And for those people, the baseline Mac Pro is the way to go in terms of storage, 256 gigabytes, because they wouldn't be really using any storage on the Mac Pro. They would just be using the storage that they had on their hard drives. That's just what I assume. I'm not one of those types of people. I like to keep a lot of my storage on my Mac. Obviously on this MacBook Pro I have about like 40 gigs left, so I got to go through a lot of cleaning out or just put some stuff on some hard drives. Moving on to the Pro Display XDR, something that really caught my eye when I was, you know, thinking about this, like I was sleeping on this, was that the Pro Display XDR costs $5,000. That's the exact same price as the base model iMac Pro from 2 or 3 years ago. Now, you know, I guess if you count for inflation, that means the iMac Pro, again, is slightly more than the Pro Display XDR. But in terms of, you know, base price, they're the exact same. Now, I'm thinking to myself, how on earth can a 32-inch 6K Retina monitor equal an iMac Pro, 18 cores? Insane video editing processing. And I feel like I just kind of explained it right there. 6K has never been, you know, thought of before when it comes to display and, you know, the amount of pixels there on the screen. But the way that they showed off this, you know, monitor was absolutely insane. And, you know, has 1000 nits of brightness continuous, which means it'll stay, you know, the screen will stay very bright, so you can keep that 1,000,000:1 contrast ratio and really fully take advantage of the XDR, or extreme dynamic range, because they're saying, oh, this is so much better than high dynamic range or 4K HDR. They upped that even more to this thing called XDR, you know, having a 1,000,000:1 contrast ratio, and, you know, having 1600 nits of brightness at its peak and 1000 nits of continuous brightness. And another thing about this Pro Display XDR is that it eliminates glare altogether. So it's like if you're sitting in front of a window and the sun is, you're editing or, you know, making music on like the wrong time of day when the sun is just beating through that window and you're supposed to be getting a glare on the screen. Well, there's a lot of technology, just mere nanometers under the display, that actually help reflect the light away from the display, so you could still see the true color that you were supposed to be seeing when you were editing a video or creating a game or something. So I think that's also really cool as well. And yeah, so overall, I think the Pro Display XDR is, I'd say it's worth the $5,000. I guess worth, quote unquote, because, you know, again, it is a monitor, and I know there are, you know, average consumers out there who are going to be like, man, this is way too expensive. I would have liked something like this. But in reality, Apple didn't make this thing for you. One more thing I just wanted to point out was that the stand is also really insane, and the outside of the Mac, it's all, or the Pro Display XDR, it's all aluminum, you know, recyclable. It has a lot of air vents from on the back side of it for cooling, and the display, or the stand, you could rotate the screen so it becomes like more portrait mode. They explained this. So for people who are coding, aka the developers who were at the conference, they can use this portrait mode to, you know, better their coding. and, you know, have just one whole screen of code. And I think that's a really good idea. Yeah, I just wanted to let you guys know, you know, I know there are a lot of people, I'm gonna go back to school and I'm just gonna like talk to my friends, or I'm gonna see some comments down below and it's gonna be like, man, this display and this computer is super expensive, and, you know, Apple's always doing stuff like this, you know, raising their prices. And I mean, I agree, you know, Apple is, you know, makes their products very expensive, but at the same time, they do that because the products are not meant for people like you, like the average consumer. If you're a pro developer, a game designer, game creator, you know, music artist, filmmaker, documentary filmmaker, just anything, one of those types of creators that need a professional computer and a professional grade monitor in order to just run the highest amount of quality, whether it comes to video or games or music, depending on what you're doing or developing or code or anything, this would be the computer for you. And yes, it costs $11,000, but you guys are most likely working in a studio, or the company is, you know, able to afford computers like this for their workers and their employees to work with. This isn't really meant for like one person to buy and just go out there and be like, oh, hey, yeah, I might as well just spend $11,000 on a baseline Mac Pro with a Pro Display XDR. So, you know, I'm very excited for the computer, but obviously I won't be getting one myself because that's way out of my price range, like super way out of my price range. But I just felt like I wanted to make this video because I honestly do think that $11,000 does make sense. While it was a shock when I first saw it, I was like, dang, $6,000 for a computer and $5,000 for just a monitor. In the end, I really do think it makes sense. It is for the industry and the companies to use as, you know, editing stations, not really for us. My message to all of you at the end of this video, you know, just don't get worked up over, you know, the price of, you know, professional computers like this. You know, you saw the specs, you saw how decked out this was. If you were manufacturing this stuff and saw how expensive each of the pieces were, then, you know, and you were a company like Apple, you would make this expensive as well. You're not expecting this to sell millions, because it quite possibly can. Not everybody has $1 million or $11,000 to spend. But you're just making this for the professionals who, you know, want to create better content, and Apple is supporting those creators, creating the best content that they can create. So that's it. I'm done talking. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. And yeah, if you guys like tech videos on this channel, I don't really do tech videos that much. I just do like vlogs and lifestyle related stuff. But if you guys like these tech reviews or previews or stuff like that, you know, just give it a like, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, because it'll definitely let me know that you guys, you know, enjoy this type of content. I know my Apple Watch video is one of my most popular on my channel, and I just made that out of the blue. So if this does really well as well, then maybe I'll you know, slowly but surely make this in, you know, more tech oriented. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. This has been Jewelers signing out.